This here's Professor You the Guru, coming to you from wherever the heck I am. Let you know when I get that figured out. Now, you like my shirt? That's my special shirt for making movies. I promise, I'm going to get the lighting picked up one of these days. As soon as I get my head out of my butt, which, it could take longer than one might think. This here movie is guaranteed to be of an interesting, unique content. However, unprofessionalism is the goal, because I'm not going to waste your time trying to impress you with a bunch of BS. We are going to fail to rehash the obvious here in this channel. It's called Reality for Beginners because I assume that nobody knows what's going on. And if you doubt that, well, then you just take yourself a little old look around and try telling me that everybody knows what's going on. I'd say pretty much nobody knows what's going on, so I think that's a good time for somebody to make a YouTube channel called Reality for Beginners. So that's what I'm doing here. Let's get this show on the road. I saw a UFO. I always wanted to believe in them. I'm not going to say I didn't, but I never pretended to see one. I saw one. I seen one of my very own. Yes, sirree. Okay, this was probably 25 years ago. I was out in the mountains, Humboldt County, California. I was sleeping in a teepee on a friend's property. I have this friend that lives on the edge of the Indian reservation. He probably the only teepee on the Indian reservation. He's got like 3/4 Navajo, 1/4 Irish. I don't know what but anyhow, he bought some property from the Indians up there, and he built his house after he lived in his teepee for 2 years. He worked on building his house while he's living in his teepee for 2 years, and then after he moved out of his teepee, he used it as a guest room for people visiting him. So I was visiting him, and me and my wife, that's my second wife, she's gone now. She's probably still alive, hopefully. We were sleeping in his teepee, and I'm one of those people who would wake up in the middle of the night and go wee, so I get up and I go outside to pee. And we're up on a hill above the clearing where the house is. And there's trees all around. Pine trees, Is this on? Well, I hope so, jeez. So there's this clearing in the middle of the sky, and then there's trees up above me on my left. That's over that way. It's pointed the wrong way on the screen. Maybe it's like a mirror, everything's backwards. Anyways, don't worry about it for now. Doesn't really matter. And it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, I suppose. And maybe 2, probably 3. Because that's the witching hour, you know what I mean? And there's this big old light up behind the trees, and it's moving. And I say to myself, well, there's a low-flying aircraft up there. It's a big old light, kind of roundish, but you can't really see any shape to it as such. It's not like what you'd say a machine or an object. But you can see that it is a big old light. And I'm saying to myself, well, why are there no little red flashy dot lights on the wings? Because, it's not like you can see any wings, because it's dark, And I'm saying to myself, well, why is there no sound? Because anything flying that low is going to make a big old sound, like a helicopter or an airplane is going to make a lot of noise. And there is no sound whatsoever, but there is a fairly low-flying aircraft of some kind flying through the air behind the treetops. So I'm watching it, and I'm saying to my wife, she's in the teepee, I say, wife, whatever her name was, get the hell out here with my glasses. I'm seeing a UFO right now. Okay, so that's pretty exciting. I didn't even want to go inside and get my glasses. I don't usually talk to my wife that way. I say, honey dear, would you please wake the fuck up and get my glasses out here? I'm seeing me a UFO right now. And she come running out with my glasses. I put them on, and sure enough, there's a big old light going behind those trees. And sorry about the bad word. I get kind of excited sometimes. I've waited my whole life to see a UFO, and I've been waiting ever since. I haven't seen a second one, but by golly, I've seen the first one, and there it was. And it's just a light. I mean, it's very dark. I can't see the shape of whatever object or whatever it is. I can't see whether it's round, disky shape, or square, oblong, cigar shape, triangle. I can't see nothing except a blob of light, a round blob of light. Very bright, and the same height as a low-flying aircraft. I'm no good judge of distances, but, and like I said, the trees are on the left, the clearing's on the right, the house is down a hill on my right. Okay, so here it comes out into the clearing. We're both sitting there looking at this thing. No sound. It's making not one sound whatsoever. No discharge, no exhaust, no nothing. Just moving, and it's moving. You know, it's moving, but it's not going what I'd say it's fast. It's going at kind of a relaxed pace, not too slow, not too fast. And then it comes out in the clearing, and it's almost as if it seen me and decided to get the hell out of there. And it just took a right turn, an instantaneous right angle turn, and went straight up. It's like it seen me and went straight up. It started going. It's just basically, it's just the big light got smaller, 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 and like 1001, 1002, I'd say in 4 or 5 seconds, this big light of a low-flying aircraft blinked out into nothing, because it just went away that fast without a sound, and it did in fact do a right angle turn instantaneously, which obviously, I mean, I don't have to tell you. Everything I just described is a UFO, a typical UFO experience. Okay? So, what is a UFO? I'm here to tell you that in case you don't know, or in case you want to know what I think. And if you don't want to know what I think, well, I'm going to tell you anyway. So, I'm going to talk about some other stuff. But for this movie, let's talk about UFOs and the UFO people. They're not from outer space, by the way. They are, I call them the ant people, like the Hopi Indians. Well, they look like ants too, and that's why the Hopi Indians call them the ant people, for crying out loud. So here we are on this planet. We just got smart enough to make stuff that go, and we think we are at the pinnacle of our, progress as a species, and we think we have conquered science. Of course, we don't know our butts from a hole in the ground, but that's all right, because we're not smart enough to know that we don't know our butts from a hole in the ground. The ant people have saved the human beings, or what we used to be. I mean, I suppose we probably got fixed while they took us underground and saved our butts from whatever happened last time, like, maybe comets hitting the Earth, or, a big old nuclear war between so-called civilizations, or whatever. The ant people take us downstairs periodically in our little caves, or their little caves, because they live underground. That's why they're colored gray, and they got big old eyeballs. They take us down there, and what few of us survive. Well, you've heard about this Noah's Ark thing. Well, they got that story in every culture in the world. Everybody knows that. They take us down, and they have a little meeting amongst themselves, say, well, what did we do wrong this time? And let's fix up their genetics just a little bit and have it as a new experiment in a couple thousand years when the surface of the Earth becomes inhabitable again. Okay? So basically that's what's going on. All cultures in the world have, so-called mythologies and legends about elves, fairies, gnomes, trolls, goblins, and whatever they call them in their culture, because they all got their different words for them. But every single ancient culture in the world knows that these things exist, and that they're a little hard to spot from time to time, but that they do exist. And the only reason we don't believe in them, most of us in America, is because our religion is science. Okay, well, that's all right. We can have any religion we want. The Constitution of the United States says so. So if we want to believe that science has got it all figured out, we can go ahead and believe that. Well, I happen to believe that science has some things figured out, especially physical things. Physical science applies to physical things. And some things in life are not physical, in case you hadn't noticed, like thoughts and feelings and elves and fairies and UFO people and stuff like that. So the thing about it is that reality is created by the mind and not the other way around. You do not find brains creating consciousness. You find consciousness creating brains. We'll get into that in other movies. Basically, if you look at sleep paralysis and if you look at alien abduction at the same time, you got your sleep paralysis on the left, you got your alien abduction on the right, and they're the same damn thing, all right? But what we fail to take into account when we come to that realization is that life is a dream, and we're going to get into that. Sleep paralysis, so-called sleep paralysis, is a lot more than what we think it is. Anytime you got some guy alone in the woods, the chances of him experiencing having a Bigfoot encounter or a UFO encounter or an encounter with whatever goes up astronomically because he's alone. Well, people in groups have what you call consensus reality, and then, consensus is kind of based around physical things because physicality is repetition. A stable reality that is predictable, that's based on repetition of things. Okay, we're going to get into that, but consensus reality is more stable, so it has physical laws to tell it what to do most of the time, not all the time, because we have physical evidence of UFOs too. So when they say that UFOs are part physical and part spiritual, well, that's true in a way, because reality is part physical and part spiritual. Reality, now, that comes with a capital R. That's the universe. That's behind what you experience. What experience, the world. Okay, the world, that's what we experience. But reality is infinity. Okay, we're going to get into all this in other movies. But for this movie, let's just say that all cultures know about the elves and the fairies. And here in our science-oriented culture, we call them UFO people driving around in machines that don't make any noise and disobey the laws of physics. It's pretty convenient, but basically they're time machines. They don't hit the air, they don't hit the water. They're basically, the short version is they're time machines, and they're in their own time bubble. They're in their own world, floating through our world, or going through our world at impossible speeds. Either way, the reason they can make abrupt right-hand turns or left-hand turns, the reason they can go from air to water without exploding, the reason they don't make any sound is because there's no air friction, there's no water friction. They can do what they want, disobey our laws of physics, because they are in their own world, their own time bubble. They're not hitting the water, they're not hitting the air. Okay, I don't know how they do that, but it's not necessarily physical, especially according to our physical laws, obviously. Now, myths. Okay, the people, they just made all that up. It's just mythology. Excuse me, but what made those ancient peoples so delusional? It's like, okay, let's sit around our campfire and toast our, squirrel heads and make up some myths today. What? Why? These people trying to make a living, they're out there, gathering berries and growing corn, heads of corn that are 2 inches long because they haven't mastered, farming yet. They don't have time to make up myths. They say, hey, look, there's a fairy. Let's get the hell out of here. They come back later and go back to work because we got to grow this field. We got to catch that unicorn. We got to fry us up some squirrel nuts, We got to make a living here. They don't have time around making up mythology. But we're going to explain all this stuff because this here channel called, what do they call it? Reality for Beginners. And let me tell you something about the unknown. If you expect the Congress of the United States of America or any other Congress of senators and congressmen and other, basically, professional, well, I could say liars, or really, they're not all liars, but they are all trying to win a popularity contest, which is not looking too good on the truth front. So let's just say, if you expect the government of any country on earth to expose and express the truth of what is known about UFOs and ant people and the space people, the space brothers, whatever you call them, whatever you want to call them, then you're going to be waiting for a long, long time, because guess what, brothers and sisters? This earth is just an offshoot of reality. That's reality with a capital R. Reality is infinity. This Earthville Mental Institution where we live is just an offshoot. It's just a branch of reality. And the rest of the universe, or what I call the unworld at large, because this is the world. The world appears to be, made of physical laws, and it appears to be finite, blah, blah, blah. It appears to be objective reality. But that's just an appearance. The Buddhists and the Hindus know that forever. Christians might catch on to it, like in about 3,000 years, or however long it takes for the one God religion to figure out what's going on. I'm not trying to piss anybody off. The fact is, the unknown is not going away. Every once in a while I remember to look at the camera. Why would I look at the camera? There's nobody here. I just look at any damn thing I want to. Anyway, this has been Professor UD Guru coming at you with the facts of life. Maybe the first time you ever heard some of this stuff. That's okay. That's good, because I'm not here to rehash the obvious. The unknown is not going away. The UF people are not getting an explanation, except for, I know everything. I just don't remember it all at the same time. That's why I try to keep these movies short. So see you in the next movie. Thanks for showing up. And this here is Professor UD Guru. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.